Always like doing these videos where we're talking about something that I can share with more than just one class of people. So today I want to talk about moderation analysis. The other day we dealt with mediation analysis, and we're going to use the process macro here for SAS. So moderation occurs when a possible confounding variable. So we're always dealing with confounding variables, and they can sometimes act as mediators or moderators. When a possible confounding variable affects the relation between the predictor and the outcome variable, a moderator variable affects the nature of the relation between the predictor and the outcome. So here's an example. The effects of weight on self-esteem could differ between males and females. So that's just an example of moderation. So you have a differing effect based on what we call the effect moderator. In this case, gender would be the effect moderator. As such, gender, well, it would moderate the relation between weight and self-esteem. To assess moderation and regression analysis, what we do is we add an interaction term. Basically, we multiply two predictors and we get this new interaction term, right? Here. For instance, here, B1 times B2. So in this case, we'll call it B3, right? Okay. So we get this product term. If the moderation term is significant, we interpret it and not the what we call the main effects, the individual effects that compose the interaction. If the moderation term is not significant, we interpret the main effects. Graphs help with that. So let's do a little analysis here. We're going to analyze the effects of video game hours per week on regression and whether the effect differs by callous unintentional traits, which are low, medium, and high. All right, so this is the code I need for SAS. I have to invoke the process macro and provide what the outcome variable is, what the predictor variable is, and then the what the potential moderator variable is. And this is model one. This is a simple moderation. There are other kind of models as well. And then in order to interpret that, we do this plot. And what I did was we'll see that this process syntax will provide output that's divided by the potential moderator variable, and then we can use that to create a data set of our own, and then use that data set to plot the results so we can interpret them. Because without the plot, it's really hard to interpret. So let's go ahead and go to SAS. All right, so where are we? I've been doing a lot of different stuff. Okay, so here we are. Okay, so here we are. All right, so this is run model one for simple moderation for the video games data set. Okay, so we're looking at video games and whether or not aggression is a potential causal factor in, I'm sorry, video games is a potential causal factor in aggression, and whether that difference on these one's traits. Okay, callous something traits. Let me just make sure I'm clear on the exact term is callous unintentional traits. That doesn't sound like a good thing, does it? All right, so here we have, again, we have to always initiate the process macro. I think I did that here. Let me just here, yeah. So I do this statement, and I showed you this the other day in a video, so you can take a look at that video. But you need the statement with your specific info where you downloaded the process. You have to download this process macro code so that you can run the analysis. You have to do that first. And then in this case here, okay, we set what our outcome variables. We use y as our traditional outcome variable, x is our predictor variable, and w is our interaction term. We're using model one, which is this simple moderation. And then we're centering mean centers. We're centering about the mean. Okay. So you're centering, so you're subtracting all of the mean from every value. And we're doing a plot, generate data for plotting, which we'll use, and we're using this bootstrapping here. All right, so let's get our results. So let's go ahead and run this. So I saved my data in this library MV stats. So it's called video games, right? Run this, and we get our results. So we see a couple of things. We see that most important, the interaction is statistically significant. The p-value is very, very small. We're not that interested in the effect of the other predictor variables. We're just going to focus on the interaction. Let's go ahead and do that. Oh, so we get these data here, data for visualizing the conditional effect. And it seems like it's divided into let's see, it tells you here actually. Num W values and conditional tables are the 16th, 50th, and 84th percentiles. This is related to if you're familiar with the empirical rule, right? Where the mean is at 0, 50% of values are below, and 50% values are above the mean. And you get like 68% of values between plus or minus one standard deviation. So 16% are above that cutoff and 16% are below at that cutoff. So you see these different percentiles. Okay. All right. So we can take this. What I do here is I'll click this link so that I create another sheet and then I can download whatever I need. Where is that? I can download this, and that's what I did. I downloaded these data here, copied it, and then send it to an Excel file. Let's go to my Excel file, figure data, and basically I downloaded it into the corner here. So I have games, callous unintentional traits, and then aggression here. And you notice how we have different values. So the games were either -1, 0, or 1. So that's the way it was set up, right? Playing video games. And then for each of those, we had callous unintentional traits were either negative, 0, or positive, right? And then for each of those, we had different values of aggression. So we set that up. I imported this data set into SAS, which you can see, let's see, here, right? So here we have it. So here's the impulsivity data set, and then for the figure, I called it video. What did I call it? I think I called it figure. Nope, I guess not. Let me make sure. Where did I save it? Yes, I did. I called it oh, interact. I called it interact. Okay. And there, interact. There it is. Okay, this is my data set. So I created this data set in Excel and then I imported it into SAS and I ended up, keeping the name interact. So it's a data set that I can use. And then I use the following code here to plot the interaction. So I wanted to plot the interaction. And this way I can visualize it because without visualizing, it's really, really hard to interpret interactions. So here we had predicted outcome, right? So that had to do with what was the outcome here? Aggression. So it's aggression. This is aggression, and these are different levels of the independent variable based on where the the mean is, so they're going out from the mean, right? So they're centered, so they go out from the mean. And the independent variable here was impulsivity, right? Okay. And then what we did was we divided impulsivity by this unintentional, what do we call this trait? Callous unintentional traits. There's low, medium, and high. So you should have three different levels of these. And that's what we have here. Where did I put that? Here. So you have low, medium, and high unintentional traits. You could say with the highest ones, you have a greater impact on impulsivity. The lower, you actually have a decrease. So there's different in the direction of these lines and the slopes of these lines. That's what makes for the interaction because they're not exactly the same. So two are going up and one is going down. So that is indicative of the interaction. All right, so that's how you run a basic moderation analysis in SAS. All right, thank you.